Now, before we get into the finals, a big shout out to the Korean StarCraft League. If you are a fan of the Korean StarCraft League, if you want to support it, if you didn't know you could, exclamation mark KSL. Exclamation mark KSL in the chat, and you will get a link to the Patreon of the Korean StarCraft League where you can support the entire tournament, you can help fund it, you can help grow it, and you can gain some benefits as well. So do consider checking it out. Do consider supporting if you wish. Again, it's by no means do you have to. You know, the tournament is going to run regardless. But if you want to support it, if you want this tournament to be a weekly again, you can do so via Patreon. Otherwise, we're getting into the finals of the Korean StarCraft League week number 45, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hecate, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Blue Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. Here we go. I saw in the chat. I saw in the chat. Not the Colossus. Oh no, Colossi. Not like this. I didn't know. Wait, hold on. Colossi in the chat. Were you originally Protoss and then switched to Terran? Does that would explain your name? That would explain things. Not like this. There's water in the blood. True, Papi. True. Did feel that way. But here we go. We are selling into our TvT. So far, we have ByuN opening up double gas. So is Cure. So far, mirrored builds between our players. Double gas openers is going to be leading into delayed CCs, and this does make a little bit more sense on Hecate. Rush distance by ground is surprisingly short, despite how wide the map is, despite how many bases there are. You can be very assertive on Hecate, so again, pretty safe openers between our players. Factories are on the way, and this should be leading into Cyclones. Should be, with a reactor into an add-on swap into Cyclones, but we'll see if our players deviate. We could see a more traditional opener of Reaper Hellion. Reaper Hellion is something that was very standard, 6 months ago, but has kind of fallen by the wayside with the new Cyclone. We'll see if either one does embrace it. For now, though, we do have our Reapers moving out, second Reapers on the way. Again, it is very risky to move out with your first Reaper across the map, just because if your opponent opens up reactored Reapers, then you can just lose momentum, lose your first Reaper, and lose the game. So we do have to respect each other, as neither player SCV scouts and neither player moves out with their Reaper. We're both chilling back at home, getting into our Cyclones. Cyclones are on the way. We can see that ByuN has made a third Reaper. Interesting. So it looks like ByuN wants to be more assertive. With additional Reapers, he can move out. He can be quite aggressive with this once he gets his Cyclones up and running. Meanwhile, across the map, we're going for an add-on swap. This should be for a factory on the reactor, I imagine, but we'll see. Starports are on the way. Ooh, Tech Lab here for ByuN instead. Okay. So ByuN has the potential to go into something like a Banshee opener or earlier Ravens. We'll see how we do mix it up, as Cure is working towards his Cyclone drop. Meanwhile, ByuN, okay, doesn't go for the add-on swap, he's going for earlier tanks. Now, we have seen this dynamic. Players like Oliveira is very fond of this. So basically, ByuN is skipping Cyclone versus Cyclone. He's skipping the Cyclone phase of TvT, and we're rushing into really early tanks. Now, this is risky because if Cure were to commit to Cyclones, which he is, he should be going for an add-on swap with this Tech Lab, which he is, and he's going into Ravens. Like, Raven Cyclone is terrifying because even if you have 2 or 3 tanks, with the disable with Interference Matrix, you can break through the tank line with your Cyclones and kill your opponents. Like, it's still a very risky defense from ByuN. As there we go, Ravens are on the way. Do you have the drop moving out across the map? Tank has been scouted. Ooh. Good juggling out of Cure. Does avoid the tank shots, or does keep his Cyclones alive. We'll pull back. At the same time, we'll try to slip in towards the right-hand side. Reapers get picked off. Good defense so far by ByuN. And ByuN is going straight for a third CC. Very greedy play here from ByuN, but his goal here is to play defensively. He's just turtling up back at home, rushing into a fast third. And Cure does not see the third CC. He's not aware. But what he is doing is working on that disable. Interference Matrix is on the way. Ravens are building up. Cyclones are building up as well. And we'll see if ByuN can survive. Because things are looking quite dicey here. Again, instead of going for additional production, additional infrastructure, going for the CC is so risky. Here we go. We dive into the main. Cyclone goes down. Oof. Oh, Cure bleeding out 2 Cyclones. That is not ideal. Big losses there for Cure. That will slow down any kind of push towards the natural. And we throw down a 3rd CC. 3rd CC on location for Cure. I feel like ByuN is defended. I feel like he's probably held at this point. Here, he is being active outside the natural base, but I think he's just here to contain, not to push in. As he is still continuing with that Cyclone production. Going for another drop. 2nd Raven has arrived. Disable is now done for Cure. But again, I feel like his goal here is just to contain, just to pick up whatever he can. The problem here is that Cure, he's just bled out so much. He's bled out so much already, getting up to 6 Cyclones. It is tempting. So going for the drop into the main. ByuN, he sees it ahead of time. He does respond, does react. Yeah, he's in position. Zones away the drop. And now getting into his production as well. 3rd CC should soon be taken. Basically, once ByuN has stim, then he can break out. So we have to wait a little bit longer here for Sim to finish, and then we can break free and expand. Meanwhile, the Ravens going across the map instead. Yeah, ByuN going for some auto-tart harass. So far getting 4 SCVs, delaying the production. Very nice damage here. Get 7, 8 workers across the map. Good damage here. Another auto-tart towards the natural, delaying these Raxes. As ByuN did not need the Ravens back at home. They didn't help him at all. So may as well get 11 SCVs. And the Ravens, they all survive. They all do survive. Oh, bit of a missed rally there from ByuN. Has to be careful. But Stim has completed. So now ByuN can break free. Should be looking to expand. Drop behind the base. Coming back in with those Cyclones. The auto-tart harass continues. Delaying those depots. Supply blocking Cure going back in once again. Oh, and this is quite a bit of damage here. ByuN getting far ahead here in the economy. Thankfully, Cure has a 3rd, so he's making up for it with, better saturation and more efficient mining. So the 3rd base is helping Cure, but again, ByuN is fighting back. We can see here that ByuN is oversaturated at his natural. He needs to expand sooner rather than later. And he's still going for drop play. Very interesting. So again, instead of breaking out and expanding, ByuN just harassing instead. Gets across the map. More auto-tarts thrown down. Finally, one Raven doesn't go down. It still refuses. We get another 4 SCVs. We get a 5th. 5th worker goes down. Marine drop coming in. Do we have anything to defend? We do. Curie's in position. Is somewhat in position to defend his mineral line. But ByuN is too quick. He gets in. 8 SCVs, 9 SCVs go down. Picks up, gets the hell out of there, drops into the main. And Cure, he is being pulled apart. Losing how many SCVs? 25! Oh my god! 25 SCVs have gone down. And what's scary about this is that we haven't lost any of the Ravens. All 3 Ravens have lived, have survived. The drop is still up and running as well. And now ByuN can expand. And he is just taking a further economic lead. On top of that, it isn't just the economy for ByuN, but the tank count. Remember, ByuN went for very early tank production, and he hasn't lost a single tank. So looking at the units tab, we have 5 tanks to 3. In a head-to-head fight, ByuN, he's ahead in the army, he's ahead in the economy, going in once again with more auto turrets, 4 more SCVs go down, and Cure is all in. It's feeling pretty committed here for Cure. We have to push. Now, thankfully, even though Cure is down in tanks, he has Ravens. He can disable. He can break through the tank line. And ByuN is still not out of this as he's going across the map with a double drop. We're forcing a base trade. Big disables on the tanks. One does on siege. Cure is pushing in at the same time his main base is under fire. We have reinforcements. It looks like Cure, he will clean this up. He will defend. At the same time, he breaks the 3rd base. And we have to keep going. ByuN is in trouble. The drop is cleaned up. ByuN losing his tanks. Another disable here on the final tank of ByuN. Boys are being pulled, and Cure may have too much. Yeah, he's snowballing out of control. He breaks the natural base, gets on top of the tank. And now we only have the main to worry about. ByuN stuck on one base across the map. He denies mining at the third, but it's not going to be good enough. Cure, he has production. He has an economy. ByuN doesn't. Knocked down to 23 SCVs. And really, this was the only move for Cure. Cure, he was being torn apart. He was being pulled apart left and right, losing so many SCVs, falling behind in tanks. The all-in was the only way. He's pulling it off. Here we go. ByuN trying to break free. Comes in for the surround. He surrounds the army, cleans up the tanks. He will force this back. But Cure is still in a better position. ByuN, he's on one base right now. He lost his natural, going to be landing his third. And Cure, he's ahead in workers. He's ahead in army. As long as Cure calms down, he should be okay. And the pressure is now on ByuN. ByuN had such an amazing start, by the way. He had such a beautiful start to the game. But he was caught with his pants down. He was caught undefended back at home. As he forced the all-in, Cure slipping in from behind with a couple of cyclones. Gets an SCV. Gets a second worker. And looking at the units tab here, where even in tanks, Cure almost double the marine count. Almost double the SCV count. So basically the goal here for ByuN is to outposition Cure. Cure, he has his army set up at the left-hand side, at the third. The natural's looking exposed. Tanks are sieged. ByuN does come in, does outposition his opponent. Good tank shots. Is it enough though? As ByuN, he's winning the battle here on the ground, winning on the marine battle, but yeah, Cure, the reinforcements may just be too much. The production for Cure rallying on out. As ByuN just barely doesn't have enough to break through. It was a good fight for ByuN, which is why even though ByuN had the supply disadvantage, he had the better positioning. Better positioning overall. Better upgrades as ByuN has 2-2 compared to the 1-1 of Cure. So ByuN took a good fight, but a good fight isn't good enough. We need more. We need more than a good fight. As ByuN going for a drop towards a natural. Cure, no vision, no sensor tower, doesn't see, doesn't know. Can we get on top of the E-Bays? That would be huge. That would be huge. We get the gas geyser instead. Marines are coming in. Boys are being pulled. Yeah, the tank is going to be targeted down, and ByuN is being cleaned up. Even losing a medevac. Ooh. A brutal loss there for ByuN. This was not the best trade from him. Meanwhile, he's rallying across the map, and I don't blame him. Again, like, there's so much pressure on ByuN right now. He knows. He knows that he's behind. He knows he has to do something crazy, and he does catch some Marines. Gets a medevac. Does get a medevac, going for a drop. There's a solid tank line, though, from Cure. Defending that ramp. Drop into the main. No! Full medevac goes down. Brutal loss there for ByuN. They're trading a tank for a tank. Barely getting a second tank as well, but GG gets called. There's just not enough left over, and Cure will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. It's because Colossal Gulp is a colossal Chad, Papi. Ah, he's a Colossi. Let's go. But GG, well played. Cure does take the first game. Again, it was a rough start for Cure. Very brutal start where he was bleeding out so much, losing so much of his economy, not even having the best army either, but he was able to snowball out of control. He was able to just go for the all-in and catch ByuN with his pants down. ByuN was woefully underprepared for an all-in. Where were all of his Marines? Remember, he went for a double drop across the map. He had nothing to support his tanks back at home. So ByuN, even though he had more tanks than his opponent, didn't matter. He had nothing to support, nothing to sustain. And with that, Cure takes game 1. GG. GG, well played. And honestly, if Cure had waited, if he had waited any longer, like a minute, then ByuN would have taken it. He would have had reinforcements, would have secured his position, would have maintained his lead, and it would have been a very different game. So Cure was on a bit of a timer, and thankfully for Cure, he was able to get in just in time, catch ByuN in the end. And with that, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have our Korean Terran leading the series 1-0, representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. Let's go. Is it worth for ByuN to get a Viking for the medevac camping north of him? It depends on the player. Like, if ByuN feels confident enough that he can react in time, then it wouldn't be worth the Viking, because ByuN wants to get into medevac production and be very drop heavy, and that will slow down his own aggression, making a Viking, I mean. So if you can get away with avoiding that Viking, then you'll be fine. Like, you don't need it there in that situation. As ByuN was dropping quite heavily in that game. Did end up taking that loss though, and now ByuN is up against, well, now to be fair, it's a best of 5. To be fair, it is a best of 5 between these two players. Plenty of games are ahead of us. I'm expecting a back and forth. I'm hoping for a back and forth, but we'll see. Hello, Cure. As we are moving out with our SCV. Now remember, last game, there was no SCV scout from either player. We did not care. So interesting that Cure is moving out, and he is scouting with the SCV, so he's a little bit concerned about what ByuN might do. It makes sense. I mean, Cure, he's leading the series. He's going for an economic opener. So is ByuN. But Cure is leading the series, so he wants to make sure he doesn't get cheesed out. And he does confirm the racks expand. So economic opener by ByuN, economic opener by Cure. Technically, ByuN is a little bit further ahead because he did an SCV scout. So there's basically a worker that isn't doing anything for Cure. And that same worker for ByuN is mining. Is mining in the main base. So a slightly more efficient opener here by ByuN. Cure has the peace of mind knowing what's going on. ByuN doesn't care. He hasn't scouted at all. Is now moving out with his Reaper. Likewise, Cure also moving out with his own Reaper, going straight for the natural, going to try and delay the CC. Does slip in. Likewise, ByuN does the same as well. SCVs are going to be going down for both players. Both ByuN and Cure, they will be delayed. Second SCV moves down, Marines push forward, and both players can resume building. No, ByuN, he comes back in! And where are the Marines here for Cure? Cure going for a third CC, he's crazy! Oh my god! Cure being a little bit too greedy, he has nothing! He has his Reapers out of the map, but he has no Marines. There we go, the Reapers, they come back home. Third CC has been scouted! Third CC has been sorted. Big scout here from ByuN as he gets the hell out of there. And Cure's crazy. That was a third CC. Was that... That wasn't before the... That is before Starport, but not before the factory. But very greedy. A very greedy play here from Cure. Can he get away with it? Oh my... ByuN. Oh my god. The moves. The KDA charge, but we flank the Reaper. We shut it down. Cure, he gains map control, but now our eyes are on ByuN. Now basically, Cure is going to be stuck defending. He's stuck defending. He's making Hellions of all things out of his factory. Working towards his Starport production, working towards his third CC. ByuN, how does he react? Ooh, in position, takes down one, takes down both Reapers. And we can see ByuN going for a later command center. So it looks like ByuN, his goal is one, yes, he's going to be aggressive. He's working on a medevac drop. So he's going to be aggressive across the map, but he's going to be expanding behind it. He's not going all in. He's trying to catch up. He is going to try to catch up, and here we go. The drop is moving out. Meanwhile, Cure back at home, reactoring out Cyclones. Tech Lab is on the way. It's going to be Cyclone and Banshee, sorry, Cyclone and Raven play again. So same destination, but we got there quite differently for Cure. As a Hellion does slip into that natural, getting an SCV. Not bad. We get a worker at the same time. ByuN drops into the main. We will get some damage done. Going for the Cyclone as well. Boys are being pulled. Medevac does evacuate. So ByuN loses 2. Cure also loses 2. So even trades here. Again, Cure still getting away with that faster third CC. ByuN once again straight into tank production. So ByuN, he's kind of following the path of Oliveira in a way here, as Oliveira also, he likes doing this, where we just go for very tank-heavy compositions. If you're curious about the play styles of our players, Cure and Clem, they're very fond of the reactored Cyclone instead. Just mass Cyclones gives you map control and also gives you the opportunity to harass and push into the natural. So a much more aggressive style from Cure, much more defensive out of ByuN. Once again, as is the same kind of style that both players played in Game 1. Here we go, tanks are on the way. Getting into Stim, getting into Bio. Once again, fast upgrades from ByuN, rushing into 1-1. So he will have the better upgraded Marines. And if ByuN can survive and get into his third, again, the mid game should be stronger from ByuN. It should be, just like how last game it should have been stronger as well, but there are windows, there are kind of vulnerabilities that can be taken advantage of. But something that I'm sure Cure isn't going for just because of that faster third base, as the third is now being landed on location for Cure. ByuN going to be landing his own as well. Now, Cure does have a higher worker count because of his faster third CC, so Cure has a better economy. The pressure is on ByuN. He's going to be checking the third base, but not the third we're looking for. Cure expanding linearly instead. ByuN trying to get a read on this. He does dive in, and he will confirm that the CC is missing. So he now knows that the expansion has been taken elsewhere. As he does try to push in, he will get a Cyclone. Very nicely done. Ooh. Barely does pick up. Look on his reel, and we do not get the medevac. ByuN barely does slip away. Very risky moves here out of ByuN. Does escape the Marine. No! The Marine comes in. Doesn't get it. Oh my god, that was so close. It was one shot away from going down. Marine unable to keep up. Remember, Cure does not have Stim. Not yet. It's finishing up in a couple of seconds, and here we go. Cure is pushing. Now remember, Cure, he has Ravens, and he has plenty of disables available. So he can break this position. ByuN stimming on forward. We have 4 tanks. That's a lot of tanks. At the same time, across the map, Liberator harass here at the natural. And Cure is pushing in. Takes down the tower. 4 SCVs go down. Still just repositioning, denying mining here across the map. Very necessary damage for ByuN. Again, ByuN is down in workers, so we have to do something to the economy here of Cure, and he is. So good damage dealt by that Lib. Meanwhile, across the map, Cure not pulling the trigger. Just maintaining this position. We stim forward, we go for the Raven! Ooh, Cure not paying attention, loses 1, loses 2! Big pickoffs. And just like that, ByuN is safe. He kills 2 Ravens, which means we can't disable all the tanks. Suddenly, all the tanks cannot be disabled, not anymore. And ByuN is going for a triple drop across the map. ByuN, he knows he no longer needs these Marines back at home. Risky move. Defending with only tanks. SCVs are going down. Meanwhile, ByuN turning back around. He wants to collapse on this army. Gets another Raven. Forces out the auto turrets. Tank volley's going off. We get the final Raven. The tank is going to go down. A big fight here for ByuN. And at the same time, he's coming in with his reinforcements, trying to catch out the army. Up. Sims forward. Gets a Cyclone. Gets 1. Gets a second. A third Cyclone as well. And a 4th. And basically almost every Cyclone. 1 Cyclone survives. Cure rallying across the map. It looks like he can come across the 4th base. He's not taking this lying down. Cancels the 4th. Big move there by Cure. Coming into the natural base, catching ByuN out of position. But he does stim back home. Does defend, losing only 5 SCVs. And again, Cure, he lost so much of his army. Lost his Cyclones, lost his tanks. Looking at the tank count, we have 6 tanks from ByuN to the 1 tank of Cure. That's insane. In a head-to-head fight, ByuN, he can take it, but pushing up a ramp into tanks is still a difficult thing to do, even if there's only one tank. But we're going for it. We're stimming in. There we go. Cure in position to defend. The tanks are sieging up. Oh, big volleys going off on the army, on the Marines, and ByuN, he breaks on through. He barely gets a tank, but he lost a lot in the process. He bled out a lot of Marines, but he does deny the third, containing Cure to 2 bases, while ByuN is happily mining, working on his 4th CC. That's what's important. Cure going for a counterattack, once again going for the same location he just was at, but that's not where the 4th is, it's at the right-hand side. So ByuN is safe. ByuN is safe back at home. He won't lose his 4th, does get the medevac, and he will shut everything else down. ByuN is in the driver's seat. Cure is able to re-establish his base. Very oversaturated. And Cure does not have a 4th CC. No 4th in sight. Tanks going off. Cure bleeding out another tank. Does have Vikings. Cure, instead of going medevac Cure, he does have the Viking lead. Takes down another tank. The Vikings, they will deter any kind of drop play. They should. But ByuN, he doesn't care. He boosts on forward. Past the turret, into the main base. Ooh, 2 medevacs go down. This is not worth it here. ByuN losing 3 full medevacs. Uh-oh. That was a brutal trade for ByuN. And just like that, Cure, he's back in this. Takes out another tank. ByuN overextending heavily there. Now, Cure is still lacking a 4th base, that is true. But suddenly, Cure, he has a pretty hefty army that he's working with. He is moving out. Looking at the army sizes, Cure suddenly takes a tank lead and a Marine lead. 2-2 is done for both players. 3-3 is on the way for ByuN. Yeah, we push on forward. Liberator's getting in position. We stim forward as well. Cure overextending a little bit. Yeah, Cure bleeding out a lot of Marines. Tanks are pushing forward. ByuN trading as efficiently as possible. But ByuN will still lose the fight. Yeah, losing all of his tanks. Cure, he still maintains a 20 supply lead. And he's going to keep on pushing. We can see ByuN slowing down the army, forcing out some sieges. Ooh. One tank goes down. ByuN getting his 4th up and running. Cure is still on 3 bases. Cure is pretty all in. Like, Cure is pretty all in here. As he does not have a 4th. He's going to rotate around. And that supply lead that Cure once had isn't there anymore. Again, this fight in the center map was brutal for Cure. Like, he won it, but just barely. He was maybe a little bit too overexcited. He got too excited, Papi. And you can see now the 4th base of ByuN kicking in. Now reflected in his supply. As he's remaxing so much faster. ByuN even throwing down a 5th and a 6th CC. More bases on the way. ByuN getting further ahead. He finds a Liberator. He finds some tanks. And 2 tanks are going to be going out for free. At the same time, Cure collapsing on the army from behind. Will clean this up. A big catch for Cure. Does lose 2 tanks, but he gets what was that? 3, 4 tanks? Update. There we go. 4 tanks went down. A good trade for Cure. Stimming on forward, bleeding out a tank, pushing up the ramp. ByuN, he's in a lot of trouble. Being forced further back. Same time, Cure, he overextends. Forced back once again. The ebb and flow of TvT. Overextending a little bit too much. But Cure, there's just so much pressure on him. Slowly leapfrogging forward, getting a tank. Getting one and soon another. Oh. As once again, Cure barely doesn't win that fight. And you can see here he lifts up his main as the 4th base. Again, Cure very committed, very all in. Taking his fourth. ByuN in the midst of this defense goes for a double drop. It's going to be denied. But these tanks are looking so exposed. And yeah, ByuN is going to catch so many tanks here. He gets 4. 4 tanks go down. At the same time, ByuN scanning the 4th base. Sees the lack of saturation. There's no rush here to deny it. There's also an army in position. So ByuN backs up. And ByuN knows, like, again, he can just chill. Longer this goes on, he's just outproducing his opponent. He's just outproducing Cure. And Cure, he almost bounced back. he had some good moments here in this game. But again, did feel like he overextended a little bit too much. ByuN taking a 5th CC. Just perpetually up a base. Cure is going to go by undetected, though. He could get a kill. Yeah, Planetary isn't done. ByuN out of position. We stim on forward. And we will get a kill in this base. The pick up. At the same time, ByuN, he catches another CC. That was the 3rd, by the way. It floated over as a 5th. It gets shut down. Oof. Cure, he's down to 2 orbitals. 2 orbitals left. We stim on forward, and Cure is out of position. We dive on top of the tanks. They're all going to go down. GG gets called, and ByuN will tap the series 1-1. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. ByuN does take down Cure. Does take him down in game number 2. Does tie things up. We have a series. We have a tied up series here. Let's go. That's all I was hoping for. But this was a pretty close one. Both ByuN and Cure had their moments. ByuN, he himself overextended, and that moment when he dropped into the main was brutal. He lost 3 full medevacs full of units, and suddenly ByuN was in a lot of trouble. He was in hot water. Thankfully, ByuN, he barely held on. He held on to his 4th as well. Was able to take it in the end. GG. With that, we're now getting into game number 3, and this is still anyone's game. This is still anyone's tournament. Who will take a lead? Who will gain momentum here? Who will take a 2-1 lead in this finals as we're loading in to Hardlead? Catching up in the chat. Both studying 4GG pods. Oh. What does 4GG do? I don't I don't know, Papi. I don't know. Indy got share my Papi, share my. Shout out to Indy in the chat. I think that is that our Indy? It is. Share my Jen Dobre. As we're getting into our next game and spawning in the top left hand corner of Hardlead, we have our South Korean Terran, our red Terran player representing Team Liquid, being forced into a tied-up series. Can he bounce back? Can he bring it back? It is Cure. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, tying up the series 1-1, getting proxied. Let's go. It is ByuN. And it is going to be committed to proxy 2 racks out of Cure. ByuN. It looks like ByuN is going for a racks expand. Okay, so Cure has potential. So this looks like an economic opener out of ByuN. 1 gas geyser. Single gas geyser. This is ideal for Cure. This means it's going to be a CC. It means the factory is going to be delayed. Delayed factory production here by ByuN. Cure, his win condition, to dive into the main base, cripple the economy, sure, catch the Reaper, but if he can deny the factory from finishing, if he can get on top of that factory, then that's going to be game. So this is going to be a tense moment here, as yeah, ByuN, he's going for the CC on the low ground. Oh boy, Cure rolling the dice, and so far, rolling well. The gamble is paying off. CC's on the way. Again, factory still not thrown down, not yet. And the Reapers, they're coming. Now, ByuN can defend, but the problem here is that ByuN doesn't SCV scout, so he doesn't know that something is wrong. He should be checking with the Reaper. This Reaper should be checking proxy locations. If he realizes what's happening, we need to pull the boys. We need to pull SCVs to survive this. As ByuN, he checks the triangular third. He's going towards the linear third. He's out of position. Reapers are coming in, and they should deny the factory. SCV is going to go down. Factory is going to be heavily delayed. Boys are being pulled. Can we hold on? The Reaper is going to be targeted. Big pick off there by Cure. Reaper goes down. Third Reaper's on the way. Oh, bit of miscontrol though. But GG gets called. That's game. We deny the factory, and Cure takes a lead in the series. GG. That was just really unlucky. GG. Really unlucky for ByuN. Unlucky that he went for an economic opener at the start of the game. Again, Cure had no idea what was happening. Just gambled, rolled the dice. But it wasn't just that. It was also unfortunate that ByuN was scouting for the proxy, but he missed it, which meant that the Reaper was out of position. The Reaper wasn't at home to defend. So every second counts in this game state. Every second does count. We got into the main, got on top of the factory, killed the Reaper. GG. That's GG. Like it's so brutal there. It's a knife fight, and things can escalate very quickly. You have a couple of seconds to react and a couple of seconds to respond, and that's StarCraft. And just like that, Cure takes a lead. Cure is one game away from becoming our KSL champion. ByuN has to fight back here and now as we're getting into game 4. Shema. Here we go. Game 4 going to be on Site Delta. So just, yeah, an unfortunate turn of events in that last game. As we're getting into game number 4 and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Site Delta. A very risky player that gambled a little bit in that last game, but it paid off. He has a lead. Uramas, one more is all he needs to become this week's KSL champion. Can he pull it off? It's our Red Terran representing Team Liquid, Cure. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran. Again, having a rocky start, having an unfortunate start in that last game. Looking to tie things up. He's down in the series. He has to win here and now to force the ace match. The South Korean Terran, it is ByuN. I'm scared. It's happening again. 2x Reaper. 2x Reaper from Cure. Just like the last game. If ByuN goes for an economic opener, it's better already for Cure. So we're gambling a little bit here, and ByuN is going double gas. Okay. We have a game. ByuN this time is going for a double gas opener, which means faster factory. It means he won't be as vulnerable as he was, so the chance of defending is a lot higher. It doesn't mean that it's like a secure defense and that he's already won the game. Not at all. It just means that things are looking a little bit better here. It will still come down to the control. It will still come down to the micro. ByuN still needs to pull the boys to survive and actually get into that cyclone production, sorry, into that helium production back at home. Reapers are on the way. Reapers are on the way. Cure going to be checking, moving in with his SCV. There it is. Factory already in production for ByuN. Very necessary. And Cure confirms. He dips in. He confirms the timing of the factory. He confirms the lack of CC on the low ground. He's now aware that this is going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be more difficult. And ByuN still is in the dark. Still doesn't know what's going on. Again, ByuN does not traditionally SCV scout in TvT. Reaper is checking. Oh, and we do come across the Reaper. Big hits here from Cure. He does shoot first. And now we have to pull back. SCVs, they have to be pulled as well. Factory still not done. Uh-oh. Factory, we need to save it. We need to preserve it here. One SCV does fall. And the factory is going to be delayed just barely. More boys being pulled, but these boys are late. And the factory will finish. And Cure is transitioning. He's transitioning back at home. Factory on the way. Cure knows he cannot end the game, but this is a lot of lost mining time for ByuN. A lot of lost mining time here. This is pretty impactful damage. So many boys were pulled. And the Reapers, they're looking to snowball out of control. They bust into the main base. They get another SCV. One Reaper falls. Hellion has arrived, and we can clean this up. We get another Reaper. Oh, we get every single Reaper as well. Finally, we get cleaned up, but these were good trades for Cure. Look at the units lost. He killed 4 SCVs, and he denied so much mining time. You can see here the economy deep in the red in favor of Cure. Does overextend though. Yeah, Cure bleeding out another Reaper. Now again, what's important is that we survived, and ByuN can expand behind this. Cure working on Cyclone production, floating his Rexes back home. We have a more back and forth, but Cure did quite a lot. Now, there's a bit of a give and take here. One, Cure, he does have an economic lead for now, but ByuN has a faster natural. That natural base is almost done. Meanwhile, the natural just started for Cure. So ByuN will be able to recover. He should be able to recover economically. As Cure, does he get another SCV? He does. Gets another SCV. Ay, ay, ay. He's crazy. Gets another worker here in the main. Forcing some add-on swaps. You see again, Cure setting up defensively back at home. Chronoing out, just pumping out those Cyclones. Likewise, ByuN with his own. And the game should settle from here. It should settle from here. Depending on how aggressive we want to be behind this. We can see, oh, a second factory. We're going into mech. Oh my god. Cure going for a second factory behind this, getting into mech of all things. Looking to go into mass Cyclone. Okay. Gumiho, is that you? But this should be for mass Cyclone from the side of Cure. Reactors should be on the way for these factories. Back at home, ByuN getting into his own add-on swaps, working towards his own Raven production. But this is definitely a scary moment. Cure moving out with a medevac drop. ByuN likewise moving out with his Cyclones. He was spotted. Cure getting in position. Is getting his army in position here. Yeah, ByuN taking control of the low ground. Does get a couple of SCVs. Oh! Heli volley looking good. We do go for the scan though, as Cure, he does collapse on this army. The repairs keep the Cyclones alive. And Cure cleans that up. At the same time, Liberator into the main base. Has ByuN spotted the factory? He has not. He doesn't see the second factory. He gets 9 SCV kills. ByuN extends his economic lead. A very nice worker lead here for ByuN. But the Cyclones are still amassing. Again, we should be seeing an add-on swap here with the factory and the racks. Third CC on the way. Ooh, oh my, ByuN. Rushing into a third CC, Papi. Okay. Very greedy here by ByuN. There's the add-on swap. Cyclones are amassing. Now, what is most scary here for ByuN is just the fact that he didn't see the second factory. Like, he hasn't seen enough to tell him it's mech. He doesn't know. Does not know. As we've seen every game so far, every macro game from ByuN going into early tanks. So, just skipping the Cyclone phase, rushing into tank production instead. Hurricane thrusters on the way. How many Ravens? We have 2 Ravens for Cure. He's going for a big push. This is going to hit hard, and like we alluded to in the previous games, the goal here for Cure is to disable the tanks. It is to disable the tanks and break the natural with mass Cyclone. ByuN going to be harassing here with his Raven. Like, the problem here is that in regular TvT, if you're still playing ByuN, it is not uncommon to get up to 10 Cyclones. That's the problem right now, is that this Cyclone count isn't abnormal. It's still not enough of a tell. As ByuN is still just getting into his tanks, getting into his bio. Stim is on the way. There it is. Scan into the main. Now we know. We see both factories. We see the researching tech lab. ByuN now fully aware of the mech, and we need Marauders. We need as many Marauders as possible. The tank gets picked off. A big catch there for Cure. Gets a tank. Marauder production has commenced. Again, we have 0 Marauders, but at least we're starting the first one. Liberator into the main. Getting a couple of hits in. Oh, and here comes the push from Cure. I'm concerned. We have a bunker. We have a Marauder. 1 Marauder. Let's go. But upon losing the tank, this is still looking quite vulnerable, and we are going to be committing here. There we go. Drop into the main. Distract some of the army. Ravens are ready for the disables. Only two tanks here at the natural. One in the mineral line, one on top of the ramp. Ravens are coming in. They throw down the auto turrets and the disable here on the low ground. Bunker does fall. Cure busting into the natural. Does he have enough? I don't think he does. Okay, Cure, the position is too good. That one tank on the high ground is the MVP. As ByuN holds. He holds, he preserves all of his tanks. That was a big win for ByuN. Now, what's scary here, as the Raven is harassing, is that there is still no third CC. We should have one. We should have a third CC by now. We're getting 3 more factories. 2 more factories even. So this is looking like a 2-base all-in. Scan reveals the positioning of the army, reveals the 3rd base. Okay, we're getting a 3rd. It's going to be thrown down on location for Cure. Getting his 3rd up and running. Armory is on the way. We're going for a longer game. And we're still committed to mech. Now, ByuN does have a nice economic lead, a nice tank lead as well. But Cure is about to really pump up his tank production. And he will have a more efficient army. Mech is terrifying, Fab. It's terrifying. Is terrifying here. As we see Cure just relinquishing map control in a sense, forced to defend. We do see ByuN rushing into 1-1. He will have better upgrades. He will have the better economy. ByuN should be rushing into a 4th, and there it is, 4th CCs on the way. Basically, when you realize you're up against mech, especially tank mech, like a more turtly form of it, and the scan does reveal the 3rd, we need to take advantage of our map control. We need to rush into the economy. 4th, maybe even double expand. Throw down a 5th CC. Throw down our production. Be active with drops. And be as greedy as possible. You can see ByuN skyrocketing ahead here in the economy. Or in the overall supply. Which is what he needs to do. Likewise, ByuN needs to do the best he can to deny the 4th. And to contain Cure. But ByuN is committing. I'm not so sure about this. ByuN being very aggressive, pushing forward with everything he has. A good amount of marauders. We're stimming forward. Yeah, we're collapsing on the army. We get on top of some of these tanks. Big disables here from Cure. Trying to buy some time. Boys are being pulled. The tanks, can we barely hold on? We can. Cyclones, they come in for a flank. We collapse on top of the tanks, and Cure, he will hold. But at what cost? Well, that was an expensive trade there for ByuN, losing his army, but Cure did lose 18 SCVs. As Cure is going for a counterattack, ByuN losing every one of his tanks. And now Cure has a massive tank lead. Oh boy. Cure, he's down 30 SCVs, but he has an army. He has a massive army, and can he catch a tank? Oh, not quite. As Cure is pushing forward. Gaining ground, leapfrogging forward these tanks. He's going for the kill move. He's looking to end the game with this army. Takes down the Metamax. Can land the Vikings. Yeah, lands the Vikings on the tank as well. Does focus it down. And what does ByuN have left? He has 1 tank and a handful of boys. There we go. The boys are being pulled. He has a handful of Marines. The SCVs, they get annihilated. Oh my god. We force a bit of friendly fire. 1 tank goes down. GG gets called. Cure, he has far too much. And Cure, despite the rough proxy 2 racks there at the start of the game, he will take the series 3-1, becoming this week's Korean StarCraft League champion. GG. GG, well played. Cure flexing his mech there. To be fair, Cure was falling far behind in the economy, but he took a massive fight. On his side of the map, he may have lost all of his workers, but he was able to reset the tank count, preserve most of his own tanks, and bam, we were all in. We had to go for a big all-in there, wedging ourselves in between the bases, and ByuN just lost too much. He just did not have enough to defend back at home. He was vulnerable. GG. GG, well played. If Cure didn't attack then and there, then ByuN would have stabilized. Because remember, ByuN was taking a 4th. He was taking a 4th base. He was working towards 2-2 upgrades. His production was getting underway. Like, ByuN was ahead in so many other ways, except for his army. Except for that army after that brutal fight. GG. Congratulations here to Cure. Fun fact, we saw something similar, if you remember, in Cure versus Hero. If you were here for the semifinals, Cure versus Hero, Cure also found himself in like some really awkward positions, but he was hyper aggressive, always in the face of Hero, despite being all in. Similar here against ByuN. So, very well done here by Cure. My condolences to ByuN, my condolences, especially game number 3. Game 3 was brutal. Game 3 was unfortunate. With the proxy 2 racks, like it ended quite quickly there. It was just an unlucky game for ByuN. If it wasn't for that, maybe we were able to sink our teeth into a longer series. But regardless, a big win for Cure, taking down Hero and ByuN. Pretty big wins. And again, Cure is one of the best Terrans in the world. He's very underrated just because Cure doesn't have, he isn't as charismatic as Maru or ByuN or Clem. This is true, but the play is there. You know, he's similar to Innovation in a sense. I say similar because I don't know what it is, but even though Innovation wasn't really known for his personality, he still kind of was. Like, he was known for being like very robotic, very methodical, very clinical in his play. I don't know if Cure is quite, he's closer to like an Innovation than like a ByuN, for example, like personality wise, but yeah, I don't know, he's still lacking that kind of that X factor that Innovation had. So a lot of people, they do overlook Cure, despite the fact that he's amazing. And GG, well played. Cure takes it. He is our KSL champion this week. Congratulations here. Yeah. And yeah, with that, again, if you want to support the Korean StarCraft League, !KSL, !KSL in the chat, you can get a link to the Patreon of the Korean StarCraft League. Otherwise, tune in 2 weeks. This is a bi-weekly tournament. Every 2 weeks, a KSL is held, a Korean StarCraft League is held. So mark your calendars and consider following the channel because we always cast this every single week without fail. Sometimes live, sometimes via replays, depending on where we are in the world. Regardless, we bring you plenty of content here on the channel. Again, maybe if you haven't watched before, I know we have a lot of new viewers from ByuN. Big shout out to ByuN for the raid. Gracias. 감사합니다. Thank you so much for the raid. If you may be tuning in for the first time, you know, we've been casting StarCraft here for many years at this point. We've been on that grind, casting on a daily basis with very few days off. So if you enjoyed the casting, if you want some more StarCraft, we got you covered. We cast events like the KSL, ESL Open Cups. We cover WTL, Kung Fu Cup. We host our own show matches. The Club NV X Ducklings Showdown is going to be on Tuesday. Fun fact, we didn't plan this, but we are going to be hosting a show match on Tuesday, and it's going to be a best of 7. It's going to be a best of 7 between these two players, between ByuN and Cure. We already organized a best of 7 between them, and they just happened to face off in a best of 5 here in the finals of KSL. So in a couple of days, they're going to have a rematch. There's going to be a rematch between ByuN and Cure, and it's going to be a bit of a grudge match here. We'll see if ByuN can fight back or if Cure gets another win on the board. We will find out on Tuesday. Meanwhile, we also host events like Sparkling Tuna Cup. That is tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow is Sparkling Tuna Cup. We also host events like Sea Duckling Open, Master Swan Open as well. And we're going to be covering the qualifiers of the Stars War event. I did not misspeak. It is not Star Wars. It is Stars War, which is so awkward to say. But it is a Chinese offline event that is going to be taking place in the coming months. And the qualifiers are starting next week. Or they're starting in less than a week. On Wednesday is the Korean qualifier. So we're going to be casting all the qualifiers, the open qualifiers and the closed qualifiers. There's going to be a qualifier for every region, for Korea, for Asia, for Europe, and for the Americas. So if you're interested in that for the next big premier offline event, then consider following the channel because we're going to be casting every single qualifier here on the CranKy Ducklings. Quack, puppy, quack. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the support. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. We are also co-streaming on YouTube, so if you prefer watching on YouTube, then you can watch us there. We also upload the VODs immediately on the channel, so all the VODs are available under the live tab over on our YouTube, so consider checking us out. Otherwise, thank you for watching. We're going to be back in 1.5 hours. Our weekends are usually full of StarCraft, so if you want some more StarCraft, we're going to be back in 1 hour and 40 minutes. We're going to be casting the Hatchery Cup. There's going to be Hatchery Cup number, is it 12? Let me just double check. Yes, Hatchery Cup number 12 is in an hour and 40 minutes, so I have a little bit of time to get some breakfast. I'm gonna quickly get some food. I'm gonna quickly freshen up, restart my PC, you know, set up all the overlays, set up everything, because in an hour and a half we're live here with the Hatchery Cup. You may be wondering, the hell is that? Is Hatchery Cup? Is that like full of ZVZs? No, papi, no. It is an event hosted and organized by Hatsu. Big shout out to Hatsu. She has been organizing her own events for quite some time now, and it is a European-centric event. It is open to all regions, but expect players from, you know, Poland, players like Geralt, Christianer, Wayne, Mindel VK, Young Yakov, Rostock as well. Like, plenty of European players do compete in the Hatchery Cup, so if you're interested, we got you covered there. It's at a really bad time zone for Koreans, so don't expect many Koreans. It's also bench time for the Americas as well. That's why it's at a European-friendly time zone and mainly European-centric. But yeah, consider checking it out. It's going to be a lot of good fun. It's going to be amazing. Let me actually just double-check. Let me check who signed up for the Hatchery Cup. Let's see. Bam. We have the technology. We have the Wikipedia page. Un momento here. Okay, it is going to be... I see Wayne, I see Ashbringer, Nick Rat is there, Shameless, Christianer, Strange, UED Soldier, Gref, the Ukrainian cannon rusher, Geralt is there, Mindel VK. So again, we get plenty of players from Poland, from Ukraine, from Russia as well. So plenty of players from Europe, or from all around Europe, are going to be competing. And again, there's still another hour and a half or more sign-ups, so expect more players as well. So again, if you're interested, follow us. We will be casting and bringing you that content as soon as we can in an hour and a half. And fun fact, after the Hatchery Cup, after we cast that in an hour and a half, we have another cast. We're going to be casting the Infolet monthly tournament. What is that, you may ask? That is a Polish-only tournament. So, dzień dobry, everyone. Dzień dobry. That is a Polish-only tournament. It is a monthly event that is going to be taking place right after the Hatchery Cup. Fun fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there are certain limitations to that event. As I quickly do double check. I believe that it is not locked by MMR, but they do host it on some very unique maps. Very unique maps. Let me just double check here. Okay. So, if you wanted to spice up your life a little bit, the Infolet Monthly Cup will not be on the ladder map pool. It's going to be on Abyssal Reef. That's a blast from the past. It's going to be on Abyssal Reef, King's Cove, Acid Plant, Submarine. Oh my god, it's been a long time since we've casted that. Everdream, Blackburn, and Paladino Terminal. All Legacy of the Void maps, but from a long time ago. Submarine, that was what, 2020? 2021? I think 2020-ish era of StarCraft. Abyssal Reef, that was early Legacy of the Void, papi. That was the OG underwater map from a long time ago. Acid Plant, I think that was like 2017, 2018. Everdream, I think that was like 2018, 2019. Blackburn, I remember vetoing that map. Or I remember vetoing King's Cove. Paladino Terminal from way back in the day. So again, we're going to be featuring some older maps later on tonight. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit more fun and a little bit less competitive, a little bit less serious. And yeah, just going to be a little bit more nostalgic instead. So, you know, we're going to be spicing it up later on tonight. So yeah, back-to-back broadcasts here in a couple of hours. See you then. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Not too sure who, but we'll raid someone else. Give them some love. Give them some support. See you then. Until then, Hasta luego.
just killing him with banelings, because like
Oh,
kind
God.
of.
I'm looking for a stream to raid. Thanks all for watching. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you guys in a couple of hours. Until then, bye. Ciao. Obrigado.